The crystal chandelier cast dancing shadows across the Anderson family's 200-year-old dining table, imported from France during their better days, as Mother loved to remind everyone. Tonight marked our traditional monthly family dinner, a ritual as rigid as the starched collar of my father's Brioni shirt. The table, stretching beneath the chandelier's glow, displayed the usual arsenal of wealth: Wedgwood china, Christofle silverware, and crystal glasses that cost more than most people's monthly rent. I adjusted my position in the antique chair, its wooden frame creaking slightly. The sound drew a sharp glance from my mother, Elizabeth Anderson, who sat perfectly poised in her new Chanel suit, the price tag of which she'd accidentally left visible on the sleeve during last week's charity gala. "Amanda, darling, do try to sit still," Mother sighed, delicately cutting into her Wagyu beef. 32 years old and you still fidget like a child." The familiar sting of her words washed over me as I smoothed my Armani blazer, a purchase that had raised eyebrows at the family accountant's office. Little did they know it came from my own accounts, not the family trust they still thought I depended on. "Sorry, Mother," I murmured, checking my phone discreetly. Another notification from my lawyers. The merger documents were ready for final review. My heart raced, but I kept my expression neutral, a skill learned from years of family dinners. "At least put that phone away," my father, James Anderson III, commanded from the head of the table. His Rolex caught the light as he reached for his wine glass. "Though I suppose playing on your phone is a step up from playing with dolls." The corner of my sister Margaret's mouth twitched upward. At 35, she ran our father's European division of Anderson Global and never missed an opportunity to highlight the contrast between our careers. Her Cartier bracelet clinked against her wine glass as she set it down with deliberate precision. "Speaking of toys," Margaret's voice dripped with false concern, "I drove past your little workshop yesterday. Still in that dreadful industrial district? You know, there's a lovely retail space opening up in the shopping center. Perfect for a small hobby store." I took a slow sip of water, remembering the meeting I'd had yesterday in that workshop. A 50,000 square foot research and development facility where we just completed final testing on our revolutionary AI-enhanced educational toy line. The same facility where, in exactly 43 minutes, I'd be signing the largest merger deal in toy industry history. "The location suits our needs," I replied carefully. Another notification lit up my phone. The press release was ready. "Our needs," Father scoffed, setting down his fork. "Amanda, this obsession with toys has gone on long enough. You're an Anderson. It's time to join the real business world." Mother dabbed her lips with her monogrammed napkin. "Your father's right, dear. Margaret was already closing million-dollar deals at your age. Meanwhile you're—" She waved her hand dismissively, "crafting dolls in a warehouse." I checked my watch. A subtle Patek Philippe that would have told them everything if they'd bothered to notice. 20 minutes until the merger announcement. "The toy industry is more complex than you think," I started, but Margaret's laugh cut through the air. "Oh please. I just closed a $10 million distribution deal with Starlight Toys. That's real business, sister dear. Not whatever arts and crafts project you're running." Father nodded approvingly. "Exactly. Look at your sister, handling major corporate accounts, representing the family name properly. I've held a position open for you in accounting. Entry level, of course, but it's time you learned real business." My phone vibrated again. The lawyers were in position. I took another slow sip of water, remembering my first meeting with Starlight's board 6 months ago. They'd underestimated me too, once. $10 million is impressive," I said carefully, watching Margaret preen. "Starlight Toys must be quite interested in European distribution." "They practically begged for the deal," Margaret boasted, reaching for the wine bottle. "Their CEO has been calling me constantly this month, desperate to expand their market share before the quarter ends." Another notification lit up my phone. "Merger documents approved by all parties. Press embargo lifts in 10 minutes." "The CEO himself?" I asked, allowing myself a small smile. "How interesting." "Well, some of us command that level of attention," Margaret smirked. "Though I suppose you wouldn't know about high-level corporate negotiations, playing with your little dolls." Father's phone suddenly rang, interrupting Margaret's gloating. He glanced at the screen, frowning slightly. "It's Bradley from the board. Excuse me, this must be important." He stood, answering with his executive voice. James Anderson speaking. I watched his face as he listened, savoring the rare moment when his carefully constructed mask of superiority began to crack. His eyes darted to me, then back to his plate, then to me again, growing wider with each movement. The CEO of Starlight is here? Now. His voice had lost its authoritative edge. For the merger signing? Mother and Margaret turned to stare at him. I stood slowly, straightening my blazer with deliberate care. That would be my meeting, I said calmly, gathering my portfolio. Starlight isn't begging for $10 million in contracts, Margaret. They're being acquired. The merger documents are ready. I checked my phone one final time. And I believe I'm running late for my signing. The silence that fell over the dining room was absolute. Mother's fork stopped halfway to her mouth, a piece of expensive beef dangling forgotten. Margaret's face drained of color so rapidly I could almost track its progress. And Father was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. I turned toward the door, then paused, unable to resist one final moment. Oh, and Mother? You're right. Playing with dolls doesn't pay bills. I smiled, feeling the weight of years of dismissal finally lift from my shoulders. Running a global toy manufacturing empire with 28 patents and a $3 billion valuation does. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some papers to sign. The sound of Margaret's wine glass shattering against the floor followed me out of the dining room, a perfect punctuation to the end of their illusions about their little girl playing with toys. The dining room erupted into chaos as multiple phones began ringing simultaneously. Dad's phone continued its insistent chime with Bradley Stewart, board chairman, flashing urgently, while Margaret's device lit up with calls from her European office. Mother's hands trembled so violently she couldn't even reach for her ringing phone. I pressed a button on my smartphone, and the massive 85-inch smart TV mounted on the dining room wall flickered to life. The familiar blue background of global financial news filled the screen. What are you doing? Margaret's voice cracked, her usual polished tone replaced by barely concealed panic. Creating a teaching moment, I replied, just as the news anchor's voice filled the room. Breaking news in the global toy industry, the anchor announced, her expression serious. In a shocking move that's sending ripples through Wall Street, industry giant Starlight Toys is being acquired in what analysts are calling the merger of the decade. We go live to their headquarters. Mother's shaking hand finally managed to grab her wine glass, only to miss her mouth entirely, leaving a red stain on her pristine white blouse. Amanda, what have you done? The screen split to show the Starlight Toys logo alongside my company's emblem, the Nova Creations star, its clean lines and modern design pulsing with subtle animation. The same logo they'd mocked as amateur when they'd driven past my facility last Christmas. That's your... Dad couldn't complete his sentence, his face growing paler by the second. My company's logo, yes, I confirmed, casually checking my emails. The same one you called childish at last year's family Christmas card photo shoot. Though I believe Margaret's exact words were, "Looks like a kindergartner's art project." The news anchor continued. The acquisition, valued at an astounding $3.2 billion, marks not only the largest toy industry merger this decade but also represents a fundamental shift in the industry's direction. Nova Creations, under the leadership of CEO Amanda Anderson, has revolutionized the traditional toy market with their proprietary smart toy technology. Margaret's Mont Blanc pen clattered to the floor. $3.2 billion. Would you like me to break down the numbers for you? I asked, pulling up a holographic display from my phone. I know how much you enjoy discussing figures at these family dinners. Though usually you're mocking my pocket money business. The TV showed footage from our last product launch, children interacting with toys that responded to their emotions, adapted to their learning styles, and connected safely with parental monitoring systems. The camera panned across our showroom, displaying hundreds of innovations that had been developed in my little workshop. Those patents you dismissed as wasteful research? I continued, watching their faces. They've redefined interactive play. While you thought I was playing pretend, so I was building an AI-driven educational technology platform that's now valued higher than Anderson Global's entire European division. The sharp click of heels on marble announced the arrival of my executive assistant, Sarah, her tablet displaying real-time updates of our stock price. Ms. Anderson, the board members are assembled in the conference room. The governor is on line 1. He's quite excited about discussing the new manufacturing facility. And the White House has requested a meeting regarding the educational initiative. Mother's second attempt at drinking wine failed as spectacularly as the first, this time sending the crystal glass tumbling across the imported tablecloth. The White House. 5,000 new jobs tend to attract attention, I said, gathering my documents. The president is particularly interested in our STEM education program for underprivileged communities. Though I might reconsider the facility's location, given Margaret's colorful comments about my choice of business districts. The financial news continued its relentless assault on their assumptions. Nova Creations' revolutionary approach has attracted unprecedented attention from major tech investors. Sources say the company's valuation could double after today's merger, with preliminary estimates suggesting. But you never told us, Dad finally managed, his voice barely above a whisper. All these years. I told you every month, I corrected him. At every dinner, every family gathering, every holiday. Remember last Thanksgiving? When I tried to explain our new AI integration and you told me to stop babbling about dolls because Margaret was announcing her new company car. Amanda, please. Mother stood up, her perfect posture crumbling. We didn't understand. No, you didn't want to understand, I interrupted. You didn't want to know that your daughter had built a billion-dollar company. You were too busy planning my future in entry-level positions to notice I was creating thousands of jobs for others. Too occupied mocking my little workshop to see I was revolutionizing an industry. Sarah cleared her throat discreetly. Ms. Anderson, your helicopter is waiting. And the NYSE would like to confirm you'll be ringing the opening bell tomorrow morning. Helicopter. Margaret whispered, her face ashen. Opening bell? Of course, I smiled. The helipad at my little workshop comes in quite handy for global business meetings. And Dad, you might want to finally answer Bradley's call. I believe he's trying to tell you that your daughter just became your company's biggest competitor in 3 continents. The TV anchor's voice rose with excitement. This marks a historic moment in the toy industry as Nova Creations' Amanda Anderson becomes the youngest female CEO to complete a multi-billion-dollar merger. Sources say the deal includes. Margaret broke down. You'll destroy us. I stopped at the door. No, sister. I'll show you how to build something real. The question is, can you learn from the one you called a child? Dad's phone hit the floor as I left. They now knew the truth. The forgotten daughter was one of the most powerful leaders in business. A week after the merger, I sat in my office on the top floor of Nova Creations. The little workshop they mocked now ruled the skyline. Holograms around me showed live data from across the world. In the corner sat a perfect copy of our old family dining table. Every scratch, every detail. A reminder of their insults now turned into my victory. Ms. Anderson, Sarah called through the intercom. Your family is here. Your father tried to use his old codes. I smiled. Send them the normal way. They entered, worn down by the week. Mother's suit sagged on her frame. Dad gripped his portfolio, his Rolex gone. Margaret looked pale and frail. Sit, I said, pointing to the replica dining set. It should feel familiar. They sat in their old places. A hologram lit above the table showing Nova's global reach. Factories, research centers, sales across 6 continents. Your European division lost 40% this week, I told Margaret. Clients prefer us now, especially after seeing how you undercut our subsidiaries. She went pale. We can explain. No need, I cut her off. You mocked my toys. Yet those toys now power the world's largest tech toy facility. I showed them our new line of AI learning dolls. These help children learn. While you laughed, I built the future. They shrank in their seats. Do you want to know the price of your mockery? I asked. Your company is down 60%. Clients are leaving. Your banks meet tomorrow to pull your loans. And this is just the start. Dad's voice cracked. What do you want? To ruin us? No, I smiled. I'll give you a choice. Option 1. I keep buying your suppliers and clients. In 3 months, Anderson Global collapses. Option 2, we merge. My rules. My leadership. You start at the bottom learning what real work looks like. Sarah handed them the contracts. You have 24 hours, I said. Every major decision will happen at this table. No more mockery. No more silence. Now you'll listen. Mother whispered, "We were wrong." "Yes," I replied. "And now your future depends on me." I held up one of the dolls. Sometimes the smallest toys change the world. And sometimes the daughter you dismissed becomes the woman who decides your fate. They left with shaking hands, contracts clutched tight. I turned back to the window. Their empire was crumbling. My empire was rising. And this time the family dinners would never be the same.